Bill Hancock is one of the nicest people I've ever met. He is also the greatest company man in the history of company men. And he is someone that you can disagree with, and he never stops smiling. And his tenure as executive director of the College Football Playoff is coming to an end when his contract expires on February 1st, 2025. It's by his choosing, by the way. He was not pushed out. Bill Hancock is a wonderful man who has a wealth of experience in big sporting events. He was the executive director of the BCS. He transitioned over to the College Football Playoff. It has been a massive success. He will work this year's College Football Playoff. A new executive director will be named, and then he will serve as kind of a mentor, sounding board, there to answer questions guy for the final year of his deal, running through that first year of the expanded College Football Playoff. All three of us have spent time with Bill at SEC Media Days. He sits down and visits with us every year. The company man thing is interesting, though, because when it was the BCS and we kept talking about a playoff, he would just stick by the fact that the BCS is the system by which we crown a national champion, and it's been incredibly successful. And once we got to the College Football Playoff, almost immediately the questions about expanding the College Football Playoff started, and he just stood by. We got a 12-year deal in place. We've done a great job crowning a national champion. This system is working. I see no reason for expansion. Right up until the point that it was announced that the College Football Playoff was going to expand. And then Bill was the first one to tell you how great the 12-team College Football Playoff was going to be because it was more inclusive and it opened the door for more teams. So whatever the system was that employed him, he was its greatest champion and will continue to be as he makes his final year plus as the executive director. You guys agree, right? Super, super nice guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Master of talking a lot and saying nothing. It was pretty remarkable.
Yeah. Give Sankey a run for his money on being able to concoct a word salad.
But says it like he's your grandfather.
Of course. I mean,
not like he's an academic scholar.
You just want to listen to every word.
Yes.
And did a great job, and everything you mentioned is absolutely true. I'm curious to know where they go from here with the position.
I want us to go down that road. I want to say one more thing about Bill Hancock before you take us down that road, Borky. He lost his son a few years ago as well. And to deal with his grief and kind of go, I mean, he wrote a book called Riding with the Blue Moth. And the way they described the book, it became a journey in discovery as well as one of recovery. He rode his bike like across the country, and kind of as a tribute to his son and as a way to deal with his grief, kind of on the open road and whatever. He really is one of the finest gentlemen that you will ever meet. But I think your question, Borky, is a really, really interesting one.
Where do they go from here? And side question is, how, what do people think of that position? But what is that position going to become? I mean, Shannon Terry of On 3 floated something that we've talked about a lot the other day. And look, we have a huge platform, over 3 million people in our listening area. Tens of thousands of people listen to us every day, and then some. But when you're the head of the third created National College Football Cover Network, and you say out loud, this is trending towards the NCAA only really handles the basketball tournament, then people are talking. There's merit to it, and this is the organization, this is the structure that already exists to lead that charge. Is that what they want to undertake, though?
There's already been some, I don't even know if reporting is the right way to describe it, but there are some people who have knowledge behind the scenes that say the NCAA is already pivoting to really try to protect its most important property, which is the men's basketball tournament.
Makes them over $1 billion a year, and to their credit, they do it really well.
They do it really well. They absolutely do. Now, there's some stupid stuff that goes along with it, but they do it very, very well. So, Borky, if the college football playoff becomes the entity which runs major college football, this job is very, very different. It's not a figurehead job. It's not a PR job. It's not just a overseeing event production job. It becomes arguably the most important job in college athletics.
You know what it becomes? The commissioner. That's what it becomes.
All right, so who's next?
Greg Sankey.
Ooh.
Would that job be better or more powerful than his current position?
Feels like more headache for less.
Doesn't it depend on what he wants it to be?
Does he take into consideration, he's like, look, if I'm the college football playoff commissioner, there's going to be so many people like, oh, you got 3 SEC teams. He's going to get in 3-4 SEC teams. Like, do you want that headache? Just stick with the SEC and get your 3 teams in.
The right salary can make me tolerate a lot of headaches.
His salary's already pretty good.
True.
I mean, I tolerate y'all for the right salary.
Sports Talk. You know who is going to be instrumental in the selection of the next executive director of the college football playoff?
Richard Cross.
No, my reach is not that far. I don't think, anyway. But I could try, but I doubt it. Dr. Mark Keenum, who is, I assume that he is still occupying the role of president of the College Football Playoff Board of Managers. It's made up of 11 university presidents and chancellors. Neely Bendapudi, who is the president at Penn State, Tim Caboni, president at Western Kentucky, Jim Clements, president at Clemson, Gordon Gee, the president at West Virginia, previously at Ohio State and before that at Vanderbilt, Jack Hawkins, the chancellor at Troy, Reverend John Jenkins, who is the president of Notre Dame, Mark Keenum, president at Mississippi State, Kirk Schulz, the president at Washington State, who has ties to Mississippi State, I believe. Doesn't he?
Correct.
He was administrator of Mississippi State.
Or something like that? Yeah.
Satish Tripathi, who is the president at Buffalo, Gerald Turner, who is the outgoing president at SMU, and Keith Whitfield, who is the president of UNLV.
And Gerald Turner is former Ole Miss chancellor, correct?
Former chancellor at Ole Miss, absolutely.
Yeah.
Left in 1995,
so let me ask you this.
4 or 5, something like that. He's been at SMU a long time.
So let me ask this: when you look at the last couple commissioner hires, they seem to be going outside of college sports to find people. The Big 12, they're looking at it more as more like a business, things like that. Does the college football playoff need to do that, or are they just such a college sports thing that they got to stay in their lane of college sports?
It depends on who it is. I think there are some people in college sports that are not only qualified but forward-thinking enough to really make sense for that position. But, I mean, do you go the athletics director? I mean, do you take a sitting AD?
You know what they should do? Find somebody that works with the NFL. Because, as I say all the time, I am a broken record. College sports has gone so far past professional sports. When people compare the two, they do it wrong. They do it completely wrong. College sports is so far beyond professional sports. There are salary caps, there are spending limits. I know a draft can't happen in college, but still. There are contracts, there are rules, they are enforced, there's regulation. You can't get around it. If you try, you get punished. Ask the Dolphins. Somebody, it didn't necessarily have to be the NFL, but this is a football thing. Somebody that navigates the world of that, who's willing to help college football modernize itself in the world that it's in. Because I know a lot of our listening audience doesn't care for the NFL, but what you can't deny is it's so incredibly well run.
Yeah.
Everything about it is efficient. They maximize every dollar. The exposure is, I mean, it's in an era of entertainment where everything is dropping. Music sales, album sales drop. Television shows not getting watched by as many people. Cable packages, fewer people are buying them. Everything is going down. Not the NFL. It's in constant growth. Somebody that's been in those waters and that's navigated this and that understands the money and the television stuff, how to bring that to college sports, I think would be so valuable. And I'm not sure just a random sitting AD, depending on who it is, would be qualified or as qualified as somebody that has lived that for years already.
Yeah, if not for his age, Jack Swarbrick stepping down as Notre Dame AD in a year is somebody that might make sense there. But he'll be 70 years old when this happens. You know, do you want somebody that's young? I think you need somebody that is very experienced. I mean, I could give you, like, I'm looking at the page that's got the NFL executive team on it. I could give you names, but they wouldn't be names that you necessarily recognize. I mean, obviously, a guy like Troy Vincent is not going to transition to college football. He's the executive vice president for football operations at the NFL. He's not going down. I know nothing about Brian Rolap, the chief media and business officer, who is a young guy at the NFL. I don't know anything about him, but, you know, maybe, who knows, maybe. But I do think your original question about what the job entails matters a lot as to who you're getting to run the college football playoff. If it's largely a figurehead position, then it probably doesn't matter nearly as much. If you are on the way to a transition of the college football playoff, the CFP, running college football and being the de facto commissioner of major college football, then yeah, it does make sense to go grab a high-level executive from the NFL or try to convince a Greg Sankey to come and do it. Joe Castiglione is retiring from Oklahoma. No, he's not. He hasn't announced that. He will in the next, 5 years, 8 years? Joe Castiglione's been there a long time. Maybe the most respected athletics director in all of college athletics. He's done a great job at Oklahoma for a long time.
Do you think they realize that the power they already have before they even take another step? Going to 12 teams changed conferences. Now, they didn't tell the conference to change, but that changed conferences.
What does that job entail?
Yeah. What are they willing to take on? I mean,
or what will they be mandated to take on?
Sure. Because that's really what it comes down to. But, I mean, when you're naming the champion, who's more powerful than you? When you decide who
it's
wins,
the engine that drives all of college athletics.
Yeah. When you're the decider of who wins, who is more powerful than you? They already wield that power. I wonder if they. I hope we get to sit down with Bill at SEC Media Days.
Mm-hmm.
We have the past couple of years, so I'm sure we'll get that chance.
Because I would love, and he's a pro, so he'll give the stock answer. But just to ask him, hey, when you expanded to 12, did you realize what you caused? Did you know what you were going to cause?